Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Crowd Chatter Podcast. Today we have the should be in category. This more continuation of the Bubble Watch series, and actually what will be the last iteration of the Bubble Watch series. As this is it. This is the last week before the selection show, of which obviously. If you guys have watched my previous videos, I'll mention it again. But if you do not know what we're doing for the selection show, we'll be doing a live reaction for the selection show when that comes on March 12th. So we'll probably have the link. We'll start the video probably about 5:30, and we'll just be live from that point forward. I believe Serbinsky will be joining me. We'll see if it's anybody else, but that is our plan for the selection show. We'll be doing it live, so we will literally be watching as they uh, make the picks for the brackets. I'll be putting them in as we go as they go, and then we will at commercials because they're obviously going to go to break after they do each region. After they get through the regions, we'll review that region, kind of review the matchups, and that'll kind of be our preview for the NCAA tournament before we make our picks. So it's kind of a dual look there. Makes it easier, obviously, so we have to make less, so we don't have to make as many videos. Anyway, moving on. It should be in category. Now, spoiler alert, you probably heard me say this in the last one, but there's not going to be much to see here. Either most teams are right on the cut line or already locked into the NCAA tournament. There's not really much to see here, and that'll be evidenced by Duke moving up to a lock status, and Pitt moving down to work to do status after taking an ugly loss to Notre Dame. So that obviously does not look good for the Pitt Panthers. NC State, though, one of the few teams that remain here. NC State, they just have an average resume. They have a solid record with a couple okay wins. Nothing that really stands out, but not really a bad loss either. And with a pretty good record, I think they're safe, but there's always that chance that they're not. So I list them here as a should be in team because even though their record is good and they don't really have that bad loss, that great win isn't necessarily there either. So NC State, a solidly should be in team. Big 12, Iowa State moved back into lock status. This is stuff all from last week. I did not upload my video from last week as I was not able to, as I'm on vacation, wasn't able to upload it. So what you're seeing is actually what I put in for the previous week. So all this is actually what I had from last week, not from 2 weeks ago. Anyways, as I said, Iowa State moving back into lock status after dropping out after so many losses, but finally got a win against Baylor. Huge win for the Cyclones. That locks them into the tournament. And a team that many people probably don't expect to find as a should be in team. That's West Virginia. West Virginia has been okay this season, but they started making some moves for the NCAA tournament late in the season, gain a couple wins. At 18-13, they have a decent Big 12 conference record, which since the Big 12 is such a pack of outstanding teams, it's kind of hard to blame them for a 7-11 conference record. But you also look at West Virginia; they got they got wins against Kansas State at home, a season sweep over Iowa State, which obviously looks very good. An absolute blowout of Oklahoma State. They also ended up beating TCU at home, as well as not West Virginia, Auburn. They also have, I believe, a non-conference win over a decent team. Yes, they beat Pitt by 25, which Pitt is a pretty good team, especially on the road. So that looks pretty good for West Virginia. Win over Florida doesn't necessarily do a ton for them, but that's why they're in this should be in section. Uh, I think if they are to beat Texas Tech, because that is their first game in the Big 12 tournament, they are playing the Red Raiders in the very first round. If they were to beat Texas Tech, I think West Virginia is good to go. Because even Texas Tech, they were still in the tournament conversation for quite a while. Uh, Spoiler alert, they've been knocked out after another loss to Oklahoma State and losses to TCU and Kansas end the year. They needed one of those. They didn't get any of them. So Texas Tech will be dropping out. But West Virginia, should they beat Texas Tech, I think they're good to go. Coming out of the Big East, Providence and Creighton both moved into lock status, and there's not another Big East team to take this spot. So the Big East will remain blank. As for the Big Ten, yeah, there's going to be a mass exodus from this position. All these teams are leaving. All of them going to lock status except for one, and that is the team in the very back. And yes, it is the Rutgers Scarlet Knights taking a loss at home or no, not at home, but taking a loss, home or road, honestly. Taking a loss to Minnesota never will look good on your resume. So yeah, I don't care if it was at the buzzer or not, but you're a borderline tournament team, and you're trying to just keep yourself afloat and in the tournament conversation. You had just lost to the Wolverines, and then you got a huge win on the road against Penn State. Say you hold your own against Minnesota, and you end up losing to Northwestern. I think they're safe. I think they stay here. However, they lose to Minnesota, of which, mind you, Minnesota is an 8-win team and only has 2 wins in the Big Ten Conference. So the fact that they ended up losing to Minnesota, even if it was on the road, is a ugly loss. So that don't look good for the Scarlet Knights. And then you lose at home to Northwestern, which hurts your resume because you really would have needed that win to offset that Minnesota thing. And so now the Rutgers Scarlet Knights will have a first round, or well, I guess technically second round, but they already 9 seed in the Big Ten tournament, and they'll be taking on the Michigan Wolverines. I don't really feel like ever talking about that team again. Probably most of you know why. But the Wolverines will be playing Rutgers. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Pac-12 remains empty. There's still not another good team to the Pac-12, not named UCLA or Arizona. Maybe USC, and that might be it. Maybe Arizona State makes a play, but really UCLA and Arizona is the Pac-12's only chance at a championship this year. Coming out of the SEC, Texas A&M and Kentucky have both moved into lock status. They no longer need to be here. But 2 other teams will join these Missouri Tigers here and should be in, and that is the Auburn Tigers, the other Tiger, who has played their way back into the should be in section. They dropped to work to do after losing a ton of games, but Auburn has put itself back in the work to do section here, and Arkansas will join the fray here in the SEC as they have played pretty well. Their conference record still isn't good, and their overall record is okay. They have some decent wins. That's why I'm leaving Arkansas as a should-be-in team. They play Auburn in the first round. Should they win that, whoever wins that game is a lock. The other might be in some trouble. So big game for those 2 when they face head-to-head. Missouri will get the winner of, I think it was Ole Miss and somebody else. I don't remember who. Oh, South Carolina. They get the winner of Ole Miss, South Carolina. So not a game that they can probably lose. Otherwise, that would be pretty damaging and put them in a very precarious position. So big game for Missouri. And then we go to the miscellaneous section where we have quite a few teams joining the fray. One of them being Boise State. After that big win over San Diego State, they become a should-be-in team. Likely will find them in the tournament. Another team that has had an outstanding... There are 2 teams, really, that are having, I think, absolutely outstanding seasons, and both of them should probably find themselves in the NCAA tournament, probably regardless of conference record regardless of whether they win their conference tournament or not. And that is FAU in Charleston. Both of these two teams, very small schools coming out of one bid conferences, and they have both just been absolutely fantastic. Both of these teams only 3 losses the whole season. Charleston with a win over VT, FAU a win over Florida. Obviously, those teams aren't really competing for tournament positions anymore, but Charleston, FAU, both of them have played pretty well within the conference. Charleston probably, you'd think, might end up winning their conference tournament. If they don't, well, we'll see where they go. But Charleston's only competition, really, Hofstra. As for FAU, I guess the early competition is North Texas. But both these teams, I think, have had such good seasons. And, it's been a while since we've seen we've seen teams now recently have really big runs, but teams like FAU and Charleston, we have not seen teams do this well and play themselves. FAU, according to many people, is on pace to get an 8 or 9 seed. When was the last time you saw a team coming out of CUSA get a 9 seed? Unless that was Memphis like 20 years ago. That's a very impressive. That's very impressive for a small school like Florida Atlantic. As for Charleston, have they ever been in the NCAA tournament? And as for their conference, have they ever had like a 10 seed, which Charleston might be on pace for? Really impressive by both of these schools and what they've been able to do. I'm very impressed by these two. They both are well deserving of a higher seed. Now, obviously, they can't be losing to some well below 500 team within their conference tournament. FAU has a lot longer to go than Charleston. Charleston's already in the semifinal of their conference tournament. As for FAU, yeah, their tournament I don't even think starts till Thursday, so they have a long ways to go, of course. And there's one other team we're going to add here, and that is Memphis. The Memphis Tigers, playing in the American, have pretty much beaten everybody except Houston. And, if that's really the only team you're going to lose to, yeah. I don't think anybody is going to fault you for losing to Houston. You got swept by the Houston Houston Cougars by a combined 10 points. If you're able to play that well against what people are considering the number one team in the country, yeah, I think you're gonna do just fine. Now they did get swept by Tulane, who actually is number 3 in the conference, but 19-10. They're not really a tournament team. And they also did lose to UCF, who is a bit lower in the conference. But Memphis also does have wins over Auburn, over Texas A&M in the non-conference. Even has a win over Nebraska, Vanderbilt. So they have plenty of. I think they have plenty of wins. I would almost consider them a lock, but I'm keeping Memphis as a should-be-in team. They have plenty good wins though, and have held their own with the number one team in the land. So Memphis, pretty good spot. I leave them in the should-be-in section. And yeah, it's looking pretty empty, but that's it for the should-be-in category. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you on the next one, which is the last one of the series, and it is the work to do category. And well, this is the biggest one for everyone, so tune in as I'll be recording that one next. So, until next time, adios, everyone.